Welcome to the Spiritual AI podcast, where we explore the incredible power of our inner intelligence, which I call spiritual AI. Just like a computer uses AI to process data and find solutions, our awareness and intuition can guide us through life with clarity, ease, and purpose. Each week, we'll dive into the transformative tools, spiritual insights, and practical strategies to help you awaken, amplify, and align with your inner power. I'm your host, your friend, your guide, and your fellow student, Leonie Dutoy. Come and join the awareness and intuition revolution. Today, I'm taking you back to last year when I had another podcast called the Sacred Living Podcast. And I wanted to drop the episodes in here because I didn't really want the interviews and the content that I put on there to kind of just get deleted and go to waste, essentially. So sit back, let's rewind and replay. Hello, beautiful soul. I trust you're doing well. On today's podcast, I wanted to share some of my own experiences and bring awareness to a topic that I actually discussed with, was sharing with a friend the other day. And it is about when we go through life, when the people we attract into our life are often a mirror. Who would have heard this at some point in your life? Like, people are a mirror, reflection to something or some part of you that needs to be activated to shift or heal, or for you to look at, or an opportunity for growth. It doesn't matter how you look at it, but there is always this reflection for us in other people and the situations that we go through and the life lessons and the circumstances we have in life. So I want to share a little bit about what's been coming up for me, and that will create a bit of context around, what came up. I have been, in this process of creating the Sacred Living Academy and working on programs and bringing in experts and creating different things in my life, and even bringing people in to come and do my lawns so that I've got more time to create. There's been a lot of opportunities presenting itself around integrity, around the way people show up, around the way, when people say they're going to do something, and then you expect them to show up with integrity, and then they don't show up in integrity, and then it puts us in a position where we wander. And I've had a lot of those come up. It's been really fascinating to see this one thing come up for me. And one of the things were, like I said, getting a gardener to come and do some lawns for me, and the way they showed up and not showing up in integrity. And then, me having to say, look, I'm sorry, I can't use your services anymore because you showed up in a way that was the bare minimum. And it doesn't feel like their values aligned with mine, right? So that opportunity for me was to have a look and see, how do their values aligned with my values? How do I energetically feel with the service that they provided? And I had to look and I had to set boundaries and say, I'm sorry, but I'm not going to use your service again because you did not fall into my energetic values. The standards. Okay. Now I know with standards, you could be, set your standards so high and it becomes an issue, but I don't believe that it was a standard thing for me. I think it was more an opportunity for me to set healthy boundaries and say, this doesn't resonate with me. I am not going to take this on. So that was one of the opportunities. Then there's other opportunities where it kept coming up, where people were saying they were going to do things for me, and then they wouldn't show up. They wouldn't do it in the time frame that they said they would show up for me, and in whichever way this is. And I started actually questioning myself, and I was like, why is this coming up so often? Why is it presenting itself, especially the topic of integrity, showing up in the way that you would say you were going to show up, showing up with pride, showing up with what's the word I'm looking for? Honoring. So honoring the way you said you were showing up, taking pride in yourself, taking pride in the work and what you said you were going to provide to the other person, right? And it's a lot of that's been coming up. So I've been sitting with it and I'm going, well, where am I? Like, why is this showing up for me? Why are people not showing up within integrity? And a lot of these situations or moments or, opportunities I actually sat with and I was like, okay, so if they are not showing up and it's not aligning with my values and with integrity and it doesn't align energetically, then this is a really good opportunity for me to say, well, thank you, but no thank you. And setting healthy boundaries and perhaps using different wording when I ask for something and they say that they're going to give it, making sure that there's clear communication as to timeframes in which it needs to be done, or exactly how the service needs to be done, or exactly what I expect from the service that they give, because I'm actually paying them for the service in some of these instances. So there was a lot for me to look at. There was a lot of reflection. There was a lot of learning. It was a lot about the outward relationships. It was about the outward communication. And then it came up and it happened again. And I had to stop because I kept questioning myself. What is this? Why is this keep happening for me? Like, how is it keep showing up? What is it truly that I need to look at? And then I flipped this a little bit differently. And to me, this comes naturally because this is a process that I've done and I understand this. But when I spoke to my friend the other day and I framed it in this way, she stopped and she was like, wow, that is a way that I have never looked at it. I've always known about the mirror, the reflection, and then there's a lesson in this, from the other person, there's a lesson in it for us, but I never thought of it in this way. And what I said to her was, I sat and I looked and I took integrity and showing up and honoring your word or my word, and I flipped it to me. Not about somebody else's, not about communication out there, not about expectations of what other people said they were going to do, but I turned it on me and I said, where am I not showing up for myself in integrity? Where am I promising myself that I was going to do something and then I would not do it? How was I not showing up, not staying in integrity, not valuing and loving myself enough to show up for myself? And then I started looking at my daily habits. In the words that I was speaking, I dialed in a little bit more and I was like, where am I doing this? Where am I not showing up? How am I speaking? What am I saying, even to, my girls or to myself, and going, I'm going to do this. I'm going to show up and do this every day. I'm going to show up and walk 2 or 3 times a week. I am going to show up and I'm going to eat healthier food. That showing up, there's a lot of honoring, a lot of honesty, and a lot of integrity for myself in those things. So where are you feeling like people are not showing up for you? People are not doing what they said they were going to do. People who, not respecting you. Okay, another thing around respecting, that's coming up in my mind, and perhaps it's time for me to voice this here as well, is respect. When when one of the things that came up when I was talking to my friend is, respecting somebody. So when you don't show up in the way that you said you were going to show up, there is a lack of respect, not just towards the other person, but there is a massive lack of respect for yourself, because you're not showing up in the way that you are meant to show up for yourself. So if you tell people that you are going to be there in that time, show up with respect, because if you don't show up on time, or you don't provide what you said you were going to do, or you under provide the service that you are giving to other people, you are not respecting yourself enough, and you are also disrespecting the other person. You are telling them, by not showing up on time, you are telling them that you are not worth me showing up for you. Okay, now this is a topic that can go in many different directions. And one of the directions is, people have this belief that, I'm just like that. I'm always late. That's just me. And that is the biggest lie that you can tell yourself. Because when you were born in the right time, and the behavior of showing up late is actually a form of trauma. Now, I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, so I'm just leaving that there for you. But respect yourself enough to show up on time. Respect yourself enough to do the things that you say that you will do for other people. Respect yourself enough to show up for yourself. I hope this conversation can take you a little bit deeper in understanding and knowing how you should value yourself, respect yourself, love yourself enough to show up. And sometimes that mirror is not just for outside relationships, right? It is not just for, how am I learning something from somebody else? Sometimes we have to turn that mirror inward, and we need to go, where am I not doing this for myself? All right, beautiful soul, I'm going to leave it there. I trust and know that this is going to just help you in some way, and guaranteed it's going to trigger some of you, and that is okay. That is your stuff to deal with. That is not mine. I am here to bring awareness to certain things, to share this, and I am going to keep working on my stuff, and I hope you will do the same. Take that mirror, especially if you feel triggered or activated is probably a more beautiful word, because triggered is actually, it's got a negative connotation to it. So I love saying you are activated, okay? Activated to see, activated to grow, activated to, just observe more and see where it is that we need to make changes for our higher good. Right. I'm going to leave it there. Please let me know. Drop a comment. You can drop comments underneath the episodes. I would love to hear what came up for you in this episode. Were you perhaps activated? Okay. Did you have an aha moment? Did you go, oh, I didn't know that you can turn the mirror inwards. It's not just always an outward reflection. Please let me know. And please share the podcast, because I would love to bring more awareness for people on the spiritual journey. And it is not just about people who are new to the spiritual path. It is for everybody. And it's also for people who are perhaps not so spiritual, because essentially we all have relationships where we feel activated in, and we can learn something and we can grow from it. Thank you so much for being a part of my journey, and thank you so much for taking the time to sit and listen to it. Share it with your friends and family. I would so love it. And please, if you can take literally 2 or 3 seconds to just rate the show, that will help us spread the message of awareness to this beautiful planet that we are on. Thank you for joining me on the Spiritual AI podcast. Don't forget to rate and share the show with your friends. It will only take a few seconds. So go ahead, go and rate the show, share it with a friend, spread the message of the power that we hold within each one of us, our awareness and our intuition. Let's create a revolution. Let's change the world. I'll see you next time.